So there is a YouTuber named Jreg, and he makes funny, like, political compass videos and political satire stuff. I haven't seen a ton of it, but I saw this video.
The political meta has...
Which I wanted to, it made me laugh. I thought it was really funny and insightful and covered parts of the internet that I didn't really understand or know about. And he also noted anti-clanker. That's the only context you need going in. I don't have anything more. I'm gonna ask more, I'm gonna learn more, and we'll see.
Hello.
Hello. Like I said, I just saw that video of yours. I've seen another one now that I also really liked, but I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really funny. And I didn't know, or maybe I did in a like a base of my brain kind of way, but about these new internet spheres that are popping up. And it seems like you are super in tune, and I thought it was hilarious, and I wanted to talk to you more about them. So here, I brought a little, I made a little thing, a PowerPoint, and I'm gonna pull it up.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see it.
I'm a big PowerPoint fan, so I'm excited to see this.
I gotta ask,
Yes.
my first assumption is you've done this for a few years now, and with political stuff, I assume your opinions, or I mean, maybe you don't give your public opinions, but it's constantly changing. Do you look back on old things and cringe at all?
No, and you know, to be truthful with you, I guess my first era was an anti-centrist era.
Okay.
And so the idea was there's these four political extremes. We got a communist, an anarchist, a capitalist, and a fourth guy. And you know, I would say, hey, you know what you guys all have in common? We all don't like the status quo. We don't like the way that things are right now. And it was sort of you know, an effort to push people of different political tribes to find commonalities in a way that's not in a middle ground sort of way, but in a way that's more radical. I don't focus on that quite as much anymore because my interests have sort of, you know, gone to other places.
I mean, it sounds like your interest lately is hating robots. That is the big...
Yeah, that's kind of my that's my current fixation. Yeah, hating robots. Yeah, clankers, tin skins.
Yeah, I was just
other such things.
I don't want to say the other ones. They sound...
well, actually, you know, I heard you talk about that, and I don't think you should feel bad about using slurs against robots. They can't feel. If they can feel, then they should feel bad. Because that's what I do with my sentience. I suffer, so, you know, I don't see why they should be any different. Part of the reason it's actually quite, you know, it's sort of reclaiming these slurs, and it's taking us back to a time.
You know what? Let's talk about the anti-robot stuff at the end, because I have more I want to say. But I want to talk about this video because I think, to me, all of these groups, like, made certain people in my life, maybe even including myself, make more sense in a way, the world is changing. And I want to go through this. So the first one you had, and again, I think the topic of the video was called Political Meta Update, and it was like kind of a semi-satirical gaming lingo take on new groups that are emerging in the really online political space. And this is the sentence that stuck out to me. So the first one you had, the first new political meta that's popping up, was what you called post-racial fascism.
Yes.
I wonder if you could give like a quick overview here for people who haven't seen your video of like how you see this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think, like, probably a really good way to explain it is just with internet characters, like, as examples.
Sure.
So, in that little image I made, we have, like, five characters. And they're all, I mean, culturally, I would call all these people very far-right, sort of reactionary figures, to the right of, for sure, mainstream conservatives, right?
Okay.
I think you'd agree.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so we got Candace Owens, Sneeko, Nick, Andrew Tate, and Kanye West.
A really great blunt rotation. Like a really good time.
Great, excellent blunt rotation, exactly. And you might notice something about. Do you actually hold on? Just maybe the chat can help me out here. Can you notice anything about these five reactionary far-right figures?
Yeah, but what the chat said, I would call them woke. That's what they said. They said I would. To me, they're left. To me, they're too far left. But I see what you're saying. Right? Yeah.
It's kind of funny you say that because there's a lot of, you know, I'm very familiar with the extremist spaces online, and there's purity spiraling. You know, you associate this sometimes with like being a leftist thing, but there's purity spiraling on the right. It's just more of like, are you racist enough?
No, that's what was funny. So I'm not super familiar with these online. Like, I'm not on 4chan or what. I don't know this. And so this first part already hooked me in because it was funny hearing about the infighting that's happening among these. Like, I don't, you know, I think you said it, that I think the standard maybe detached look is like they are more likely to be united or fall in line. Or, you know, I've seen the big split between Elon Musk and Trump, the tech right and like the MAGA right.
Yeah, I think there's like a bit of a blind spot when it comes to infighting. So if you're like on the left, you might think that the right is like a really homogenous group that like sticks together and they only want to, you know, hate communists or whatever. And if you're on the right, this was kind of interesting because I think Fuentes had a talk with Andrew Tate that I overheard, and they were talking about
That
you know
you
the
overheard?
I was in
You
the
were
room.
in the
I was
area?
actually listening in, yeah.
Okay.
And they were talking about, you know, the left is so united. And meanwhile, here we are bickering about who's in the CIA. I mean, the current drama on the very far right is, are you a CIA agent?
So I hadn't even heard that.
What
What does that come from? What is they're bickering over who's secretly a CIA agent? Is that
Okay, so have you ever seen people call each other feds online? Like you're a fed?
Yeah, sure,
Or
yeah.
you're a glowy?
I've never heard
yeah,
glowy.
so-
I don't know glowy.
Okay, yeah, glowy is a term that comes from the schizophrenic guy who thought that all like federal agents glowed in the dark, and it emerged on 4chan. Yeah, yeah. His name was Terry Davis,
Okay.
and he built an operating system from scratch, which you might find interesting.
Well, that's cool,
But
I
yeah,
guess.
it was. He was very schizo. Anyway, so there's a paranoia on the right that there's like a deep state that's
They've been
working against
infiltrated.
you. They've been infiltrated, and so
Is this
currently,
QAnon
like,
type stuff? Is this very into that?
It's absolutely kind of adjacent to QAnon, but I think a lot of these people would look at QAnon and be like, that's like boomers, like boomers believe in QAnon, and
so
we believe in
old-fashioned now.
glowies and feds. Yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah. So the current drama is like Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. I don't know what you like. Tucker Carlson, I think it's fair to say he's pretty far right. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's tough to say because he's so mainstream. You know, maybe
He is
the
mainstream,
window
but
has changed, right? But he
yeah, the Overton window has certainly shifted. Like Donald Trump is, is the president, and so the Overton window is shifted.
and don't
right.
forget it, by the way. He's my president.
Don't
and
forget
don't
it.
forget
He's
it.
your
So-
president. He's
our
my
president, okay?
He's our president. Just kidding. I'm Canadian. I heard the Canada slander. Yeah.
Oh
so,
no! Why is everyone Canadian?
You know, leftist infighting is like, did you read enough Marx? Do you have the right opinions on Israel-Palestine? Right-wing infighting is like, you're a Jew, you're a Fed. That's basically it. That's basically it. I mean, you know,
They keep it
there's
simple.
probably,
You got to respect the simplicity.
It's simpler. Leftist infighting is like wall of text. Right?
Too much text.
You are Jewish. So that's basically what's going on. That's just sort of a broad overview of what's going on. But I mean, I can take this back to the sort of observation that I'm making here.
Yeah.
Which is everyone here, even though they're very far right culturally. I mean, basically everyone here doesn't like Jews.
Sure.
Which is sort of the hard line for separating yourself from, am I hard right
well,
or
would
am
you put like
far
Aiden
right?
Ross in this?
That's a good question. So I'm not super familiar with the streaming world, to be honest. Maybe you would be better at telling me this. So like, Aiden Ross is Jewish, but he is like sympathetic to someone like Fuentes.
Yeah, I want to bring up two clips here that I wanted to just show to you and see if they poke a hole. So how could this guy be any form of fascist? And I want you to watch this clip.
What does a fascist mean? It means you are a far right authorization ultra analyst political ideology movement characterized by dictator leadership, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition. So I don't know what that means, bro. I swear to God. I don't know what the fuck a fascism is. I don't know what the fuck that is. Benito Mussolini and Giviante Genital.
That's awesome.
And Jason Stanley. Like, who the fuck are these people, bro? Never heard of my fucking life. What is an example of a fascist?
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome. Okay.
Does
yeah,
that just blow
brings
a
lot
hole
of
in your
thoughts to mind.
theory? Do you know what I'm saying? Is that
Okay, wait, hold on,
Okay.
relax. First
Okay.
of all,
I don't know, I'm just
you'll
wondering.
notice Aiden Ross is not on that thumbnail.
Okay,
I
all
also
right.
didn't mention Aiden Ross in that YouTube video. I
Okay.
don't know Aiden Ross well enough to make any sorts of judgments about Aiden Ross, and I am also very careful about using the F word, so to speak, because I'm not the kind of person that's going to call like a moderate conservative a fascist. I'm not going to call a libertarian a fascist. Unless you are a fascist, I'm not going to call you a fascist. I don't know enough about Aiden Ross to call him a fascist. I also don't think, though, and this is kind of an important point, you need to know what fascism is in order to be an appropriate target to call a fascist. It's a really loaded term that polarizes
Yeah, of course.
people, and so I use it very carefully. And I am a political scientist of a sort, and I think like the words do have meaning, and it's very important to use the right words.
I agree. I thought that's why, again, one of the reasons I like this video is I thought you made that caveat, which is that you don't throw it around all the time, and that it is kind of earned in this case, but it has this weird quirk that it's somewhat post-racial. One more clip. I mean, you've disavowed Aiden Ross, so my clips are now no longer hitting. I thought he was part of this for some reason, but I had one more clip.
I didn't disavow Aiden Ross. I literally
no, I
don't
mean
know
you
enough
disavowed
about
him from this.
I'm not even gonna say he's not a fascist. I'm just saying I don't know. I mean, do you think he's a fascist, or do you think he's like adjacent to fascist?
Oh no, I don't know Aiden Ross either.
Okay.
I have two clips here. What I think is how this connected with my understanding of the world is that there is a group of like very online streaming content, YouTube related people who would all call themselves vehemently anti-racist. They would say they're not, racism is not a part of their philosophy in any way, but are deeply right-wing.
Right.
And I could see that bubbling up.
Right.
And I would assume that Andrew Tate is, sorry, not Andrew Tate, Aiden Ross is part of that. That would be my guess. And he's just the biggest. I think of him because I am less in the weeds. Like I've never seen any content from Nick Fuentes. I've never heard him speak. I don't know what he talks like, but I have seen when he's president. He's breached containment. In the next like 6 months, you'll be hearing a lot about him. But I just, the idea that this is truly post-racial in any way, I wanted to put one more clip up to get your thoughts on it. And we'll go through all four of your things, all the different ones. So here's the next clip.
Yeah.
In real life, I got you, bro. But when it comes to this content shit, I'm not in the mental state to be in front of your niggas. As soon as a nigga of color hop onto the stream, it's straight watermelon and gorillas, nigga. I'll watch.
I just wish he didn't say that though. I really wish he didn't say that as soon as there's somebody with color on your stream. We don't have to make this about race at all. Like there's no reason to do that at all. I get what he's saying. Like when there's somebody with color on their stream, they spam monkey and watermelons and stuff. When there's a Jew on stream, they'll spam the craziest shit in my chat. When there's a Mexican on stream, they'll spam shit on my chat. When there's a Chinese person on stream, they'll spam my shit on my chat. It's not just one specific race, guys. It's every fucking race. Kick is like the fucking Adult Swim.
I mean, I think that's a very good clip to show. Actually.
Yeah, right. I think it sort of embodies what you're saying, but I think it also kind of undercuts the reality of it.
Right. Okay. So let me be really clear.
Yeah.
So we talked about the Overton window shifting, right? When we're talking about post-racial fascism, we're sort of talking about a middle ground between, say, where Trump is, and then where like a racial fascism is. And you can imagine Trump sort of pulled the Overton window into the right. Straight up white nationalism and white supremacy is still outside of the Overton window. Like racial fascism, if anyone's trying to make that point, no one's going to take that seriously. That's beyond the pale. But the sorts of points that these characters are making, it's like not quite that extreme. And it's partially not quite that extreme because of material circumstances in the West. Yeah, post-racial fascism is sort of just an observation of like where things are right now, and I'm not suggesting it's a tenable coalition.
Sure.
So that's kind of a really important point. The question that we're going to see over the next decade is how tenable is a post-racial fascist coalition? So Benito Mussolini was the founder of fascism, and he wrote on fascism and what he thought about fascism. And his idea was race is 95% a delusion. And so this is the guy that invented fascism.
He was the Aiden Ross of his day, right? He was like,
Now, in these circles, like a Bannon type, who often speaks to how an American hyper-nationalism will be good for all the races, Mexicans, blacks, whites. That sort of rhetoric is super post-racial. It's like, we're not going to try to make this just work for white people. We're going to make this work for everybody in the nation. And you can still do fascism like that. It's never been done on a really big scale before like that, so it's just very interesting to like kind of watch it.
Okay.
But you look at someone like Bannon, and you look in those circles, because that is even further to the right, like that's on the right side of the Overton window right now. You see peaks of actual like straight up white nationalist, or even like other kinds of nationalists, like racism basically. And also in these circles, they're also very comfortable with racism. All these people are racist against Jews. I should just point that out. So post-racial fascism, it's kind of like, it's by nature very tenuous. I could see it working. I could see it being like a solid coalition. And I almost think like the reason is just because the West is so mixed. Like America is mixed. It's not like Europe. It's not like Europe 100 years ago where you had a huge swath of the same ethnic group
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
and you could just, you know, get rid of 2% of the population. It's everyone.
It's
It's
deeply mixed.
completely
Yeah, 100%.
untenable.
Yeah.
It's completely untenable to actually do white nationalism. In Nick Fuentes' heart of hearts, does he want to make a white ethno state? Like, I don't know. Probably. Like, he probably would. There's a lot you could say about this. You could say, like, a product of liberalism is sort of looking past the individuality of race, and so that's maybe bleeding in a little bit here because it's been the dominant world order for so long. There's a lot of ways you could slice this bologna, and ultimately, you know, all I'm really trying to do is just make the observation here, and
that it's appearing.
Do what
Yeah,
they
I
want
think,
from that.
okay, so the line I wanted to say before I got caught with tech issues is that what stood out to me about this video and made me question my own thoughts of the past is that you mentioned have coalesced into real power now, but it's good looking at them because this is what's probably going to be more important in 5 to 10 years. Like, these are the seeds of things that will grow. Some of them will die and some of them will grow into coalitions in 5, 10 years. And I think about that because
these are emerging tribes.
Emerging trends, yeah.
The only last thing I'd say about is there's this idea called castizo futurism, which I think was like a South American kind of ideology. It's about sort of like accepting a very mixed society, but like doing your best to work within that society in a fascist way and sort of, you know, over time lighten the skin tone of various people. I know, yeah. I mean, like, South America is a kind of a crazy place sometimes.
So the next group that you noticed rising was, I forget what the E stands for, but accelerationists, tech accelerationists. What's the?
Yes. Okay. So the E stands for effective accelerationism.
Effective
Actually,
accelerationism. Yeah.
Sorry. I don't want to mess this up. Okay. Yeah. Effective accelerationism. I keep confusing if it's efficient or effective acceleration. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. I think, you know, the broad strokes of what makes this different, or what you would know, what are the key traits of this group that are rising up?
I put this in the libertarian, sort of like a new emerging tribe on the libertarian sphere.
It's like a Peter Thiel kind of thing. Is this like a?
Yeah.
Okay.
So libertarians are really pro-tech right now, and this is like you can think of it as like libertarianism plus modern advancements in technology with the AI stuff that's been going on recently. When you look at AI and the people who are typically most pro AI, and I don't want to alienate any libertarian anti-clankers who are part of my movement because I'm trying to get everyone from every political ideology on my side. But yeah, in general, as a stereotype, libertarians are the most pro AI. You know, you could view a character like Elon Musk on like the border of the post-racial fascism sort of thing. He'll do a little bit of both.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I want to let you see it. So this stood out to me as, I wouldn't say he's in this, but like some of the things you talked about. You said like these people are probably, of all the groups, the most optimistic. They think this will be a good thing. We're headed in the right direction. The tech is going to save us. This reminded me of my friend Doug. I'll just say it. My friend Doug.
Okay.
He's not. I wouldn't say not in a bad way in any way, but like this is where he's on the border of, which is that he is more optimistic. He believes tech will be a solution. He thinks that's the right direction. And so yeah, I wanted to, you know, that stood out to me. That like maybe the early inklings or something like this are in his brain. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the more extreme version of it and also where it's headed. Like, is this the one you're the most disagreeable with? Because you seem very anti, like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you got me.
Okay.
I can only pretend to be impartial for
that's
so
fine.
long.
Yeah, I don't mind. I want to hear it. So tell me more about it. Just what were your thoughts?
It's a lot of autistic tech bros. It's a lot of so accelerationism. It's a way of looking at things that asks the question, what are we making? What are we headed towards? And the reason that the flag there is like it's an exponential curve going upwards.
Yeah.
It's a cybernetic theory. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically it's a systems theory. A lot of complicated interwoven points making positive feedback loops. And the idea is tech is one of these positive feedback loops, and it's going to go faster and faster and faster and faster. And then you have a lot of variants of accelerationism that kind of speculate as to what that's going to look like. So you've got a left-wing accelerationist might think the tech is going to solve all of our problems and sort of create, like, maybe give us all UBI, and we kind of sort of live in like a paradise, and the robots take care of everything we don't want to do. And it sounds good, yeah. And like, you know, I would just, you know, you'd spend your time, maybe you'd spend your money on just human connections and like doing stuff that like benefits you, and we would all like no one would really have to work anymore. And it all sounds good. It's also seen as the most, by accelerationists, kind of the most ridiculous, unlikely, insane possible way of looking at things. In the tech world, a much more popular ideology is what you call right accelerationism. And that is, these ideologies were created like about like 20 years ago, and they sort of developed over this amount of time. But right accelerationism is we are building a higher form of intelligence that will one day replace us. And the flesh is weak, so we as a species are basically just the bootloaders for a higher
That's
force
insane.
that is emerging. Yeah, and so this is something that I studied, and it sort of informs my anti-clanker ideology a little bit. But yeah, so those are sort of the two main groups. And then recently, last 4 years or so, out of the like this forum called like Less Wrong, which is like this very like autistic techie community where effective altruism comes from. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Sam Bankman-Fried
Yeah, I know
was
SBF.
like a
He's my
proponent
goat.
of that. Okay, cool. So, you know, before, I guess after the Sam Bankman-Fried thing, everyone was like, damn, I do not like these effective
Yeah, he
altruism
really
guys.
hurt the brand.
And so this kind of emerged a little bit after that. I don't know if there was a huge connection, but it was created by this guy, Beth Bezos. I don't know if he actually created it. There was like a couple of people. Apparently one of them was watching my videos while they were creating it, and they
So
were, like,
you're
talking
at
about,
fault
like,
for the thing you hate the most.
I might be responsible a little bit. They were talking about the interplay of like autism and schizophrenia, and how it has to be a meta-ironic ideology. So it basically needs to like, you need to, it's like serious, but it's also a little comedic. And they were trying to like, basically they use this term hyperstition, which is a phrase in accelerationist circles, where if everyone believes something enough, if everyone believes we're gonna create this technology that's going to take us to the next level, then it'll happen. And so, you know, my problem with this ideology, and you know why I'm against it, it's basically just right accelerationism, and this is like an older ideology, but it's like an outgrowth of right accelerationism. If you ask an effective accelerationist what the humans are going to look like in this future that they're imagining, they don't have a good answer. And because they don't have a good answer, you sort of have to assume what they're talking about isn't a human. It's going to be really, really good for a lot of robots. It's going to be really, really good for maybe your intelligence uploaded onto a computer.
Okay.
And that's the extreme variant. And I think on a more moderate variant, like maybe what Doug believes, it's just kind of like, you know, if he falls into this camp, I would probably give him the benefit of the doubt and say he thinks it's going to solve a lot of problems, reverse climate change.
That's
make
what
us
he
all
thinks.
live longer. I guess this is sort of like a leftist critique probably, but like I guess the critique is without the fundamental systems that technology exists in being changed at all, there's no reason to assume that technology is going to be good for us. You could make some sort of market, sort of trickle down argument about like things, you know, like the technology gets invented and then everyone becomes immortal. That remains to be seen, and you know, to be honest, that's kind of just a matter of personal
Sure, I
like,
think
your
he's,
personal observations
you know,
about the
I
world.
don't want to speak for him. In fact, I probably shouldn't even have included him. I don't want it to be, especially if this is a more negative thing. I just wanted to, I think what he would say is less so much about the future you're talking about, which seems really far away, which is like this transhumanist upload yourself to the cloud, and more of like the interim decades, I think, where you can create so many things at such a lower marginal cost that we could all have a lot more. Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't think that's a horrible take. I actually don't think that's like an insane thing to believe. I think there's a good case to be made that if you look at how we have pretty state-of-the-art tech right now, and it's affordable to most people. You could certainly make a case, and there's a lot of really exciting stuff happening with AI and, you know, medical science and learning things about the world.
We're not going to figure it out. What I think was interesting about it, because here's one thing that possibly you believe, but I certainly believe, and I want to get your gut check on it, is I'm starting to feel how you sort yourself into any one of these groups we're going to talk about, or any of the other myriad groups, is really vibes based. It's very vibes based, and it's very based on other people in it and how it's like based on what kind of group you see yourself in. And I think there's a lot of, less people weighing the different merits of these different philosophies and more. And so I think the word that you used about this one was that it was optimistic. And I feel like people are being funneled, certain people are being funneled into this thing because it's one of the few that is still remaining optimistic, even if it's.
I think. Yeah. That's a really, really good point, actually. A lot of politics is vibes, and you're looking around the political spectrum, and you're like, damn. One side is saying the West has fallen, the other side is saying capitalism is destroying the planet. There's only one group here, really, that's like, things are awesome. We're going to Mars. We're going to colonize the stars. We're going to live forever. We're going to have perfect lives. In terms of branding, they have the best branding, and that's why I am sort of bullish in this taking off even more, and that's why this is also an emerging political tribe.
Okay,
it's gonna
cool.
do better and better, just like the rest of them.
Okay, so here's one that I wanted to bring up. Reactionary centrism, okay? And I might fall into this. We'll see. You can help define it for me, but this might be me, or at least I could...
yeah, that makes sense.
I could see it when you were talking about it, or at least I'm an early stage of it. So I don't even know this guy in the middle, by the way. Actually, I don't know. Is this Ben Shapiro?
No, okay, so in the middle is my mentor, JJ McCullough. Left, it's Hawes, Infrared Hawes. He is a kind of a Nazbol streamer. He's like a right-wing communist. It's kind of hard to explain. He's like...
Okay.
Imagine a communist that says a lot of slurs, okay? And then
I
Fuentes,
see.
and then that's Fuentes on the right, who, you know...
Okay,
like
that's Nick Fuentes, okay. Well, he does look like Ben Shapiro.
Remember this conversation in 6 months and be like, oh yeah, that guy.
Okay. So my understanding, as you described this, was a group that feels, the Overton window is being pulled so far in both directions. Everyone getting more radicalized that this group is like desperately trying to hold on, pulling it back, like just...
Yeah, perfect analogy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mentioned earlier, Trump pulled the Overton window to the right. There's more than one Overton window. We're actually living in like societies where the worlds that we live in are rapidly...
Can you explain the Overton window for people? People are asking in chat, and I just realized we didn't define it.
The Overton window is basically the middle. If you imagine like a political compass, it's in the middle of the political compass. If you imagine like the range of things that are acceptable to talk about. 20 years ago, I just told you there's a communist that says slurs. Both being a communist and saying slurs was outside of the Overton window 20 years ago. Okay, that wasn't happening. I wouldn't be on a talk show talking about an Nazbol.
Yeah. Someone said, like, I don't know how to draw it, but like, it's like this window of things you're allowed to say, if this is like left to right, and like maybe this right here would be maybe gay marriage for a while, and then the line moved over here and you could say it, or something like that. It's like, yeah, if it's not in the window, it's considered like out in poor taste to even bring it up or talk about it.
Right.
But it feels to me, as part of this reactionary centrism, there is no Overton window. The internet has kind of blown the whole idea of an Overton window out. You can say whatever you want and you'll find an audience. Like the idea that there's like a publicly acceptable list of things you can say doesn't even matter anymore. In fact, saying things in the middle is almost boring because you don't get an audience. There's no audience for that.
Correct. The incentive structure of the internet and just the way that the internet works, where ideas go from brain to brain very quickly, no friction, that is a great place for extremism. And that's why I talked about extremism on my channel as an internet person, as someone who is like spends a lot of time on the internet, and someone who at the time believed the internet would play a big role in shaping how these ideologies emerged. And the stuff I was talking about 6 years ago is basically happening currently.
Sure.
So yeah, I agree with your analysis there. I think that's true. And to go to your point of like the Overton window expanding, I don't know if like literally everything, just because you can say something doesn't necessarily mean people are going to take it seriously. I think the Overton window is sort of a signal of, will I take this seriously? Is this being represented in any way in politics, in like
the halls of
politics.
power?
Yeah, in the halls of power. Like,
okay.
You can say anything and it'll get an audience. But I wouldn't, like, there's an ideology called ephilism, right? It's like it's like very extreme antinatalism. And it's like, not only should no one have kids, but I'm going to actively end life. It's a terrorism ideology, basically. There are no ephilists in government. There are no people who are whispering in Donald Trump's ear saying everyone needs to die. The voluntary human extinction movement is not a real thing. So that's something I would say is outside the Overton window. Even with all these things taken into account of like, so I would say the way I sort of describe it is the Overton window is split in two and is shifting to the left and right simultaneously. And what used to be in the middle, where you, Atriarch, might find myself, is now outside of the Overton window.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Again, I'm throwing all my friends under the bus, but I wanted to pull an example of someone I really think hit your points. This is my friend, Nathan Stans. Okay, this is Stans. You can see him here.
Yes.
And it's funny, I was in a car ride with him the other day, and we were just talking about life in the world. And he said, I'm not kidding, maybe 3 or 4 exact phrases that you use to describe this group in your... And I think the one that stood out to me most is like, you wanted to get back to a world where the average person didn't have to care. And I think that was an exact phrase you used. Like they were both fighting for the right. The center left and the center right are both fighting for the right of the average person to no longer have to care about. Yeah, I don't know that I would fall that specific spot, but the idea that everything is getting more radicalized, I do think is just true, and it's something that I personally find a hard time fitting myself into. However, what I would take,
that's very interesting.
You mentioned these as like growing groups, but I sort of feel like this group is getting crushed. Like this group is.
Okay.
Like, okay.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. You know, it's called political meta update. So I would say this is an update to liberalism. This is an update to centrism. Are you familiar with Destiny? Do you know that guy?
Yeah, I know of him.
Yeah, so he's a streamer. He'll say stuff like, you know, he will fight Hassan with equal intensity as he will fight someone like Donald Trump. Because the way he sees it, there's like a far left and there's a far right, and they both hate liberal democracy. 10, 15 years ago, if there was a fascist or a communist saying, I'm going to overthrow the government, the liberals wouldn't even talk to those people. Like, it's not important. It's not like that poses any real threat. No one believes that. It's outside the Overton window. Now, because the Overton window has sort of drifted to the left and the right, they have to engage with this, and they have to be like, oh shit, there's a lot of like threats to liberalism right now. We're surrounded by enemies on the left and the right. We have no choice but to sort of react to the extremism that we're seeing in order to create a world where we can kind of go back to normal or whatever. And so it's a lot more conscious. Like before, you'd be like, shut up, that's just the way things are. Now you have to justify why things are the way they are. And actually, I would probably argue that that is a good thing. Like we shouldn't just take for granted
it doesn't seem bad.
all the ways. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't take for granted that all the ways that we've been doing things before are the ways that we should still be doing things. We can't just like wave our hands away and be like, no, there's actually no problems right now. Because there's all kinds of problems.
Oh, and they're getting worse. I agree, yeah.
They're getting worse, and the left and the right are both pointing to very real problems that people are having. And so I think this has been a good development for liberals and centrists. I think that like having to explain why the way things are the way they are. Like I think a lot of the reason extremism thrives is because no one explained to them why we do things, and so it just seems like this completely like insane. Like what are
arbitrary.
we doing? Like this guy. Yeah, it feels very arbitrary. Yeah, and you know I think that this is a good development in my opinion, because even if liberal centrism survives the next 15 years, even if we are still, a mostly middle-class, consumer-based society, I think that because there's these threats to liberalism, almost like a virus or something, it's gonna have to fight it off, and it's like the liberalism of 15 years from now is gonna have to be different because something has to change. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a big extreme uprising where a bunch of people die, but it might be like, hey, I don't know, like we do a UBI, we do land value tax. There's lots of like radical centrist ideas that might have to emerge.
Yeah,
Maybe we make taxes easier, like.
Yeah, okay, then I am in this group. Like pretty much exactly. Yeah, that's how I see it. So, but I just think maybe it's a little hopeful. Maybe I'm being the doomer here, but I find that to be, I think when trend lines start moving in a direction, it's hard to stop it without a bigger event. So we'll see. But I think that's a fair point, and I think the way you pointed this out was this one made me laugh because I found it to be true. It's like 10, 20 years ago, the most bitter enemy of the center right was the center left, or the center left, and vice versa. And now they have
this guy sucks.
They have to like handshake on 90% of things because they're fighting the larger polarization around them. Like someone would be, compared to a Donald Trump, most people would take a Mitt Romney in this group. They would be like, but before they would have bitterly fought Mitt Romney to death. The idea is
exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing else I'd say on that is like the example I use is my mentor, Jreg McCullough, is a conservative. He is a center-right Canadian conservative. When he talks
what
to
are they conservative about in Canada?
Just like less taxes and liberals are bad. But it's very, like the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party historically have been very, very close to each other ideologically, right? So it's like, it's not a big deal. But like, yes, he's center-right and he votes conservative, and he talks to Destiny, who's center-left, more of like a social democrat type. They like agree on everything because they are not threats to each other anymore. The threats are the edges now. And so that's kind of the example I would sort of use to illustrate that. Yeah, like Mitt Romney and Obama have a lot more in common with each other than, AOC and Fuentes. So
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, that tracks. By the way, I don't know if you know this. Maybe you're, I guess I would be worried for your content in the future because every one of these political problems is being hashed out and figured out in my chat right now. The Socrateses of the world have debated everything and I think figured it out. They've all put it together and they're huge huge paragraph length typing that no one else cares to read.
Never stop thinking and talking about politics. The more you do, the more it feeds me.
They've really truly solved it. Okay, here is the next one. The next group that you brought up was called the balkanized left, a reference to the Balkan states, which are all fractured and have a ton of infighting. So you've put different content creators' faces on missiles and jets and countries, and they are all just trying to kill each other. And I would love to hear more about this. How is this group doing right now, or what's their growth?
Leftist infighting is nothing new. It's kind of like a meme. The characters I have on here, I'm sure you're familiar with Hassan and H3H3. What's going on with them?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, my understanding is that there's a big holy war between Destiny, Hassan, and H3H3. That is my understanding.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, I don't know anything about Israel Palestine. I get all my information about that through Hassan H3H3 drama. There's there's Hassan Moss and H3 Israel or something. I don't really know. I don't keep up with geopolitics.
No,
okay?
it's not nearly as fun. Okay, so that's actually my understanding of this group. I don't even remember exactly what you said in the video, but my understanding of this group is it's a bunch of people who really care about streamer drama and are using geopolitics as a lens to constantly engage in that. They don't really care about geopolitical changes. That is a cover for a real deep care about the interpersonal streamer drama of a bunch of people. That is what it feels like to me, because so much of the discussion is about the personalities of the people.
Right. It's very strange. It's like if you opened up a gossip magazine, and then on page 7 there was like a horrible conflict where tens of thousands of people are being killed. And it's like, this is content, why is this? But and they're aware of this, and also on the more principled left, you'll have a lot of people who are like, I am using the drama slop content to inform people about Palestine, right? Like that's kind of the way that they do things. This thumbnail here is a little bit misleading, honestly, because Destiny and H3H3 are what I would call center left. Vosh is like libertarian, very far libertarian left, like a libertarian socialist who would be on the green quadrant. Hassan is like arguably approaching the red, the authoritarian left. He's a much more of what you would call a tanky than the rest of these guys. So they all have very fundamental ideological disagreements between them. But I just sort of use this to illustrate, like, all of these people would just define themselves as some sort of leftist or liberal. And H3H3's case, probably now, he probably would mostly just call himself like a liberal or a social democrat or something. These people all hate each other. Every single one of these people hate each other. No, you can draw no positive line between any of these people. And part of this, I think, is because when being a political streamer, man, that seems like it's real brain rot and really.
Oh yeah, the worst. Probably the worst people in the world. If you talk about politics on stream, you are, I would say, scum. That's what I would say.
I mean, I've met a lot of political streamers. I've met a lot of these people. And yeah, it's like, it rots your brain, and it sort of makes you really defensive and really aggressive. And
I don't think it has to. I was making a joke on myself, my own expense, but I don't think it has to. I don't think it has to rot your brain. Maybe
political streaming.
Maybe I'm. I do some political streaming, is what I'm saying. And my brain is rotted, so I guess your correlation is very strong. But I don't know that it has to become so. Okay.
Well, I'm kind of curious, because I think you're the only streamer I have met so far that I like. But that's probably, I mean, to be fair, I think that's probably just because every streamer I've met has been a political streamer, which is like only politics all the time, and it's very caustic. I'm curious what you do to not rot your brain when you're talking about politics.
I skip a lot of streams. Very inactive.
Interesting. Honestly, I think it's something about doing it all day, every day, 12 hours a day. I think that's
it definitely is the hour. The hours could definitely do it. You got to fill 8 hours versus 2.5 to 3. Then you have a lot more. I don't know. I don't want to. I really, honestly, I think one of the reasons that I don't brain rot is because I don't comment on everyone else. So I don't want to do that. Actually, I don't want to get into talking about anybody else. I want to talk about my own thing.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, not to but I think the problem is the incentive structure is to do that as much as possible.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
No.
I mean, okay. I would say that I think my viewership is doing pretty good, and I have never done. This is the first even toe in the water I've ever had to discussing another content creator. I don't think you have to do it that way. I think it's easy, and I think it gives you easy views quickly, but I don't think you have to do it.
Okay, I think that's wise words from what I can tell. Do you feel like you get that, or like, do you have any questions?
Well,
on that?
okay, what I would get, actually, I mean, as a group, it clearly really isn't a group. It's a bunch of splinter groups. But I think what you're saying is that all these people would characterize themselves as some form of left, and they're all kind of in the middle of a holy war to be the right version of the left that dominates the online discussion.
I think so. I talked about like right-wing infighting and the purity tests on the right, and it's like it's racial and kind of like, are you a Fed? On the left, it's ideological. And so because it's ideological, there's a lot more opportunity for like very, very pure little nations to emerge that, because you have a different opinion on, say, like a geopolitical issue, or if you're like, we'll use capitalism as like a middle ground between socialism instead of just doing a communist revolution, or we want to use the state versus we want to make it more communally operated. All these things create lots of different divides in the left. And so that's probably why I would say the left is more prone to infighting, but the right still infights, and we see the right infight. And also,
maybe it's human. We just love to infight.
We love infighting, and also you just tend to see infighting when a group gets power, because like you see like a big liberal leftist coalition right now against Trump, right? Because they both hate Trump. If the liberal leftist coalition ever won, they'd kill each other, right?
Oh, for sure. That is a good point. That is a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think Trump is a uniter of his opposition in a way that he's united different groups on his side. Okay. The last group, this is this is the scariest one, but also the funniest one. And this is the Horseshoe. And you have pictured Thomas Crooks, who was the guy, Thomas Crooks, who attempted to assassinate Trump and had extremely confusing politics, which was that I think he was like Googling, Biden's location. Like he wanted to kill either Biden or Trump or anyone nearby. He was just sort of I'm sort of describing what you said, but he's a growing group of extremely disaffected young people who are just so, they don't have a political ideology. They're just angry and mad and disenfranchised and, just kind of like wanting to burn it all down. Am I close to where you're at, or give me more detail? Okay.
That's accurate. This is also where I fall.
Really? You're more of like like a League of Legends player. This is.
So, this tribe is sort of defined by, these people are almost always like young, and the internet has what I call a schizophrenizing effect on ideology. It pulls it apart, it mixes it together, and it often makes it completely incoherent. This guy Googled the closest person he could kill to him, and then tried to kill him. He would have tried to kill Biden. The only reason he tried to kill Trump is Trump was closer to him. This is like a sort of accelerationist, nihilistic violence. And this is the thing that is being like fed by problems on all sides, and just a general lack of meaning, being disaffected. This is what you get. You get what you deserve, basically. So, yeah.
That's dark. That's depressing.
Yeah, it is dark. It's dark. It's a little spooky, and it is only growing in power. So basically, either the problems get solved, or you just see kind of more of this. I'd actually probably put Haas in here, just because of the to a liberal person, I should say, would seem like far-right cultural views combined with far-left economic views. That's like, it seems incoherent, it can be justified. You might put him on the balkanized left. But the Horseshoe is best defined by like these, when you see like someone like assassinate a politician, and then it turns out they have like this weird eclectic, like Luigi, like you read his philosophy.
Yeah, he did have a weird philosophy, right? He had like a weird, it was like half libertarian, half, it was like, I don't remember it that well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's incoherent. It's kind of internet brain rot. Yeah, and you'll see this a lot more.
Vaping?
Oh, sorry. No, this is just my Foom. This is my sponsor, Foom.
Is this a plug?
It's a, Foom is a really great product. It helps you get off of vaping, and
you're right here. You're right here, bro. This is all for money.
Yeah, you caught me.
I caught you, dude.
I fall into the market forces. Is there anything else you wanted to cover here?
No, I mean, not particular. I enjoyed talking to you. If you have to go, no worries. I just I thought it was fun. I appreciate you explaining these to people. I think there is.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being on here and getting to yap about my fixation. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, no worries. And I'd love to have you on sometime again to talk about the anti-robot movement.